Hi, everyone. Follow me on @Rory Preddy. I do accessibility and Java and Azure updates and a lot of jokes also, though. So you really want to follow. And this is a story about how I bolted on my requirements for accessibility and my journey on how I got to the point that I realized that bolt-on is not right. So this is my midlife crisis, my BMW 335i. I just had a service now also. And you can see there, I made it my own. I bolted on the car pedals there, and you can see this is the story of my life. I'm lecturing at a university, and I'm standing on a chair. I have achondroplasia, so I have dwarfism, so I'm 4 foot tall, pretty short. I make a plan. Here's me trying to get some coffee here, the problem is that all this life, and a lot of people who have accessibility requirements, and we're going to go through the definition of accessibility and disability and around that. But every time I bolted on, and myself and others, we created something called the Hydra. And you know it because as software developers or IT pros, you create a bug Hydra, and when you fix a problem, another head actually comes off though. So I want to show you how to kill the Hydra. But first, I need to tell you that the Hydra likes empathy bubbles. So if you try to fix something, or fix software or fix accessibility, and you don't actually understand the scenario or the person that is experiencing that, then you live in an empathy bubble. And if you try to fix accessibility issues in an empathy bubble, then you actually get to the point of failure. Now, the person over there didn't understand that as a wheelchair, those 3 stairs aren't actually usable. So you don't want to get that. So I've got a plan today. We're going to define accessibility, what it is and what it isn't. We're going to understand organizations' unique accessibility motivators and how to plug into them, legislation, and also altruistic motivators. We're going to set interim milestones, and we're going to implement tools. And finally, we're going to show you how to measure, improve, and automate with DevOps. So what is accessibility? Now, I've got a little Logitech presenter here. I've got a Mac mouse and a Magic keyboard. And now I have accessibility requirements. I can't reach my keyboard. So as a result, I need a keyboard here. And the keys need to be, and the keyboard needs to be Bluetooth so I can move it around and everything like that. So I have an accessibility requirement for my Mac laptop. That doesn't make me disabled. That just means that I have a product that allows me to fully experience my laptop. So accessibility is the design of products, services, and environments so that everyone, including people with disabilities, can fully experience them. So you're not designing for disabilities. You're designing for everyone. A process. You're broadening the spectrum of the people that can actually use that. So once you do that, you incorporate inclusive product and service design to include everyone. You look at compliance to make sure that you comply to legislation. You increase your productivity, and then you increase your innovation. I'm going to show you how that is true a little bit later with the demos, though. And we believe, and we've got proof at Microsoft, that once you incorporate accessibility in your design process, you lead to higher revenue. You literally make more money, because you look at the process in a whole different light to what you did before. You also look at disability differently. Now, as part of my midlife crisis, I bought one of those BMI scales, the scales that measure body weight, body mass index. And at the time, I weighed 65 kilos. I've lost 15 kilos since then. So now I jumped on the scale and I typed in my height, 120 centimeters, 4'1". And then I typed in my weight, 65 kilos, and I had a little crawling baby and a little tall adult. So I put the baby there because I'm not that tall, and I jumped it on there, and it did a little AI calculation and called me terrible names. It actually said, no, you're really overweight. I'm not even going to mention that name then, and I felt disabled, because I felt that I had a mismatched human interaction with that tool. Same as with this Mac laptop. I can't get too close to it there. And disability only exists when you have a mismatched human interaction. If you don't design for people, then you make them feel disabled. So that's disability and accessibility. Let's look at the next section, which is, now that we understand the definitions, what is accessibility and what are the design principles? So there's only 4 design principles that I want to show you about. Perceivable. Can you see it? So I wear glasses, so I might have a website, and I need to be able to use that website and visually be able to use that. Operable, can you use it? My keyboard here. I want to use your website or use your app, and I want to be able to tab through it and not have to necessarily use a mouse. Understandable, can you understand it? Now I also have I'm 42, and I have a little bit of anxiety issues. I'm married with children, and there's lots of bills and everything like that. So there's always anxiety issues when you're married with children. So sometimes I find that things are a little bit too overwhelming. I don't want to be able to go into a website and it starts overwhelming me. So understandable also includes the autism spectrum, the neurodiverse spectrum, and then robust. It won't break future technology. So if you have a landscape phone and you turn it to portrait or vice versa, it shouldn't break. Now, these are all WCAG, so the Web Center for Accessibility Guidelines design principles, and you can expand them into a lot more information. But that's all I really wanted to show you today. So for the motivators, now that we've defined accessibility, let's look at legislation. So the 21st Century Digital Experience Act and the EU Parliament Directive of Digital Accessibility said by this year, 2021, they are enforcing that civil-facing websites, the government websites, have to be WCAG 2.1 compliant. Or, like Canada's doing, you get a $100,000 fine per day. Remember GDPR, all these cookies and everything that ruined the web? This is coming now. This is this year that the legislation says that you have to be accessible on your websites, or they will shut you down. But I don't like to think that it's only just negative, stick and carrot. You also want to look at the altruistic, the right side of the argument. And it's summed up by the quality of life statement by Bill Gates. For most of human history, we put our innovative capacity in improving the quantity. More. Because we're living longer, our focus is starting to improve towards improving the quality of life. We care because we can. We can improve people's lives. So we should want to improve people's lives because we can, not because there's legislation coming through. And once you do that, you have that level of compassion. You go from pity to sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And it gives you the ability to really feel other people's difficulties. You do that also by becoming that other person. Remember that empathy bubble? You pop that empathy bubble by becoming the persona of that person. So introducing Ashley. So Ashley is a 21-year-old art graduate, administrative assistant. She's severely sight impaired and uses a screen reader. You take Ashley and you do the lab on the laptop for your product or your service using Ashley's persona. Now, you can get all of these personas there. They're actually part of the UK government's personas, and they're freely available on alphagov.github.io/accessibility-personas. And it allows you to become Ashley. And once you can become Ashley, that's the first step. Now you understand, wait a second, Ashley can't use my system. She can't see what I'm doing there, and I need to change. But you look at the process and you say, I can't code just for Ashley. I need a code for using inclusive design. So in the three main steps of inclusive design are: one, recognize exclusion. So you might exclude Ashley. So, well, who else are you excluding? Maybe all visually impaired people. Solve for one, extend to many. Once you solve Ashley's visual impairment, you might actually extend it to people who don't only have severe sight impairment, but colorblind people. So solve one problem with vision and fix another. And learn from diversity. Look at your processes and adjust them accordingly to be more accessible. So let's take another scenario here. We spoke about Ashley, but let's take an amputee. So this is another persona that the AlphaGov shows. And this is also part of the Microsoft Inclusive Design Toolkit. So right at the end, I'm going to show you how to get all of these personas also with the Inclusive Design Toolkit. So this is an amputee, someone who lost an arm, maybe in an injury or born without an arm. It doesn't matter. And then they're in the same spectrum as someone with an arm injury, a motorcycle accident, or they fell, and also a new parent. But I know what you're saying. A new parent isn't, disabled. They don't have accessibility requirements. But I promise you, if you've got a baby in your arm, you can't answer the cell phone. You can't do a lot of things, though. And me as a parent, I'm mentally, financially, sleep deprived. I have accessibility requirements. So you take all of that and you go to your manager or your stakeholders, your customers, and you say, I want a code for the person with one arm usage. But you can't, because the US Center for Statistics says that in America, there's only 26,000 of that. But when you look at the temporary disabilities, there's 13 million. And the situational disabilities, there's 8 million. So total 21 for that spectrum is 21 million. Now, when you take the common spectrums, people with accessibility requirements in the world are more than 1 billion people. When you take friends, families, and loved ones who are also heavily invested and take care of those people, then there's more than 3 billion people. That means that the spectrums, the common spectrums, are nearly half the world's population. So it makes sense, financial sense, to actually code and look at these spectrums. Then you take a scenario. So this is a journey management of buying a plane ticket or any type of ticket. You've got a registration, navigation, and checkout. And you go through the process there. You register, you log in, you search the flights, you add the ticket to the cart, you check out, and then you do a survey right at the end for experience. Now you superimpose your spectrums on that, and everything changes. You have responsive design when you land there. You have single sign-on for the registration, callback hub for navigation, SMS and email tracking, and then right at the end you have AI adjustment. They say, did we meet your expectations? Did you have any accessibility requirements? Else, you change the flow to accommodate that. And let's look at milestones next. So milestones, you can sum them up also using the classic SDLC, so the system development lifecycle. So this is a UX design for an application. And you can see there, we've got shippable product right at the end there. And then the beginning, you've got deployed system. We go into the wireframe, product backlog, sprint backlog. And then we do sprint, scrum, and rinse and repeat there. But accessibility is right at the end. But we know the Hydra, that is how you create the Hydra. So what can we do? So you shift left. Now, the shift left is a big movement to make small investments throughout the process in the backlog, design, coding, and testing, rather than a larger investment right at the end. And it changes your process there a little bit. So accessibility becomes part of the design. You become innovative with accessibility because it's part of the process. So you don't have a shippable product and you don't give birth to the Hydra. You do this really with tools. So Microsoft is one of the biggest open source providers. All of our accessibility toolings are open source. I use them every day to create content. I'm a Java developer by day and accessibility advocate by night. And I create content. And every time I publish my content, I use these accessibility tools to actually check that my tooling and my content is accessible. So the main tool that I want to recommend to you today is accessibilityinsights.io. So you can go in there and you can get for the web, Windows, CI/CD, Android, and GitHub Actions. And this is the main tool that we use to actually check that your tooling is accessible. And I'm going to do a demo a little bit towards the end and show you how this works. It gives you a nice little view of your GitHub Actions. You can see there accessibility checks, and it gives you the ability to say what is going on with your GitHub Actions. You can also do it in Azure DevOps there, and it gives you a nice little view here of all of your pass or failed services. If I have enough time, I can actually do a demo with it with DevOps. But if you can't change it, if you can't kill the Hydra, then you can bolt on systems there. But we want to recommend using Immersive Reader. So Immersive Reader is built into OneNote, Teams, Microsoft Word, Edge, and nearly everything you can think of. And it has a cognitive services that you can put it on any website. And it allows you to create an immersive experience from any text and do translation services with at just a click of the button. And it gives you the ability to actually create let's see what it can do. Language, so you can change languages. You can translate into 60 different languages. You can do pronunciations. It gives you syllables, and you can also do line focus, and then you can also do pictures. I'm going to show you a demo a little bit later how easy it is to use that, though. But you can also do it with computer vision. So we have so many AI services, and one of the services that we do that we've baked into Microsoft Office is computer vision, and it gives you the ability to look at images and see them and give a narration, a caption for that. So over here, it's Satya Nadella, Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer posing for a photo. So it analyzed them, found out who those people were, looked at their faces, found the emotions of those people, and realized that they were posing for a photo. They weren't doing anything else. And that's enough to actually make most of the WCAG features done in your website, your application, or your GitHub website. So, okay, let's go to demo, and then I'll show you how easy it is to get started. So the first thing that I want to show you is a website from the City Lights. It's a tourism website, and you've got the inaccessible and accessible. The inaccessible is exactly the same as accessible because they've done horrible things here with the HTML code. When you go to the accessible version, it looks exactly the same. So how do we know what is accessible and what isn't accessible? Now you go into your Edge plugin at the top there, so you can go Accessibility Insights for Web. And I'm just going to go FastPass. So FastPass there, it just checks that you were WCAG 2.1 compliant very quickly, and it tells you exactly what's going on there. So I'm going to click on FastPass. It's going to scan through there. It says 44 failed instance. Your color contrast is wrong. The HTML haslang is wrong. The image alt is wrong. And you can click on that, and it will tell you the WCAG setting there, what to fix and how to fix it. And it will also give you a visual helper. So when I go here and I look at the visual helper, you can actually see what it's done there, and you can click through that. and you can see the visual helpers there. You can even file it straight to GitHub right there and then. Now, the X engine that we have here that is running here, you can actually do that in .NET, in Java, in any of the language. I've got it running here. Let me just open up here, file, open recent, and we want to go here. So the exact same engine that you have with FastPass, with all of those features, with accessibility insights, you can actually run it with DevOps, which means I can put it in my CI/CD pipeline. So here's a little test accessibility that I'm going to run here. And in it here, I've got a little page, a normal page, and I want to show you what that normal page looks like here. And I've got normal here. So if I open this up, let's go show reveal in Finder. And if I just open that up in a normal here, so this is what it looks like. Now I can test that in Accessibility Insights, but let's see on FastPass, and it'll say, well, okay, so it didn't even find some errors there, so it's not as accurate. But oh, this is no violations. I actually tested something that has got no violations, so it's a negative test, so it works fine. But the one with violations, let's just check that out there. And shadow error here. So let's go here and let's go reveal in Finder. And I'm going to open that error there. And now it's a shadow DOM. So this it also has test page with no violations. Where is my ones with violations? Let me see if I can find one. Integration test. Let's see if we can find one with X core. Oh, there we go. Integration test. Here. I've got some with integration test. So this is one with, so it's focusable, low color contrast. So now if I test, hold on 1 second, there we go. I just want to show you, this is the actual page with the errors here. So now I've got some errors here, invalid role attribute, ARIA page is incorrect, shadow DOM. Now if I test this here and I go FastPass here, it'll say, yeah, lots of issues there. But I want to run this in a DevOps process now. So I can go into my Visual Studio Code, and I can run this now in, let's just close all of those, close. I've got my unit tests here. So now I can run them here, and I can say, wow, the test cases here, let's go find the test case there, run scan page on Chrome, and I can run all of those test cases there, and it will come back, and it's using the same engine, the exact same engine. It's running Chrome there, and it's saying, listen, is it going to pass or fail? And obviously it's a negative test, so it is going to pass, but it actually fails. And now I can go in and I can run this in DevOps and in GitHub Actions, and it's there for you to actually slay the Hydra right at the end if you don't need it. But what about Immersive Reader? You promised me that if I can't run these tests and I can't actually check it, how do I actually use Immersive Reader? So I've got Immersive Reader actually running right now, and I've got it. Let's go and open the project, file, open recent, and we want to go to Immersive Reader. And I've got a little page here, an HTML page here, and it says Immersive Reader is available in many languages, and it's a tool that implements. And I've got a little HTML page here. So let's actually, I think this is running right now on port 888. Let's see if it's still running. Else I'll just start it up quickly here. It's not running. Let me just start it up here. So I'm going to go Maven Tomcat 7 : run. Now it's going to run it, and I'm using the Azure Cognitive Service, which costs like a million, like a 1 cent per million transaction, and it's hosted on my Azure account. So it started on port 8888, and I can go into port 888 there. Now it's got the Immersive Reader here, so you can see that there. So now I can click on Immersive Reader, and it's going to go in and scan my HTML page. So I can click on Immersive Reader, and it's using the Azure Cognitive Services, and it's going to say, okay, cool. I don't know if you can hear this. I'm going to put this on my MacBook speakers. Maybe you can hear it there.
Techniques to improve reading comprehension for emerging readers.
Okay, that's great. So now I can make the font bigger. I want the font a little bit, yes, we can hear. So I want the font a little bit smaller, text size there. And I also want the line size there. I want the syllables. Oh, that's why, because I actually had Chrome. There we go. I want the font size a little bit bigger there. And I want the syllables on, nouns, verbs, and it's great for English speakers there. And I can click on each sound there and click on each, yeah, and then I can also go line focus to make it reading like a Kindle format. But I want to change the language. So I want to change it to Hindi. Let's just go change it there, and Hindi there. I'm going to change the whole document there, and I just translated the entire document. And now I can read it back to you.
Immersive रीडर कई भाषाओं में उपलब्ध है।
Any language, Immersive Reader, right at the end. And we're getting customers doing this with massive websites that allow you to do translation services, AI services, and translate and make an immersive experience for anything, for any of these things. It's no bolt-on, and you slay the hardware right there and then. So that's Immersive Reader for computer vision. So computer vision you can access in Microsoft PowerPoint right now. So if you go into PowerPoint right now, the beginning of this, I showed you a picture with a person with a keyboard there. You can right-click in there, go edit alt text. I'm just going to delete that text there. And it uses the Azure Cognitive Services there. And you can go generate description for me. And it uses computer vision. Check how cool that is. And it'll generate a description there, and then it makes it actually accessible. A person typing on a keyboard. And I can actually go in there and then go into my review and type in check accessibility at the top there, and it'll check all the accessibility, and then I can make my PowerPoint. And it does it with Word. You can do all of this also with Azure Cognitive Services. So I think I'm almost out of time. I just want to leave you with a call to action here, where we were for a second ago. Let's go back here, and right at the end there, I've done the demo. It's a lot to take in there, but it's really, there's only one thing I want you to do after this though, and that is I want you to do some training that I help and create. So first of all, I've shown you how to be empathetic. You create those persona spectrums, and then you slay the hardware. You shift left. You move everything to DevOps. You do the X Maven plugins, and you use accessibility insights with GitHub Actions and also with Azure DevOps, and you slay that hardware also on DevOps. Then you automate with AI, use Immersive Reader, Cognitive Services. All of that is available on aka.ms/accessibility fundamentals. Get the badge. You can actually get an accreditation for that, and then follow me on Twitter on @Rory Preddy. I'm going to leave that slide open, and now we can answer for some questions.